It's back to business as usual. Everyone is still talking about the Global Entrepreneurship Summit. A lot of people will be talking about the gains that were made in Kenya. But most importantly, it's a lot of the young people who also benefited from GES. And some of them are here with us tonight. I'll introduce them to you. On my far left, we have Judith Owiga. She's the co-founder of Akira Chicks. I think you remember seeing her on the same platform as US President Barack Obama and Uhuru Kenyatta during the opening of the summit, and we'll run that clip in just a few moments. And then we also have Taita Ngetich, who's right next to me here. He is one of the founders of Illuminum Greenhouse, and he'll be able to tell us more about what they do. And we have his co-founder as well, Brian Bett. That's on my right. But right next to me, we have Edwin Masharia, who is a partner at Dalberg, Nairobi. He was one of the moderators at the Global Entrepreneurship Summit, but he had other roles as well, which he'll explain to us. And as I said earlier on, Brian Bett works with Taita, of course, with Illuminum Greenhouse. So thank you all so much for coming, and congratulations to the three of you. I think you really did us proud out there. I think we can start by running Judith's clip just to get an idea of what Akira Chicks is all about before we begin to engage. If that's ready, I think we can run it for you right now.
Technology is one of the fastest growing sectors in Kenya, yet women are greatly underrepresented. My name is Judith Owiga, and I'm the co-founder of Akira Chicks, and I'm working to nurture generations of women who use technology to impact their communities and create solutions. 5 years ago, I and a group of friends started Akira Chicks, and it stemmed from the need that we saw that there were very few women in technology. So we wanted to create a community where women can come together, work on different solutions, and share knowledge. After some time, we noticed that there was a lot of knowledge we were sharing, and there were other people who could benefit. So we thought we should start a training program and target young women who would not ordinarily consider careers in technology and who would not have an opportunity to do so.
All right, so that's the introduction that we also are live on our screens. And before we talk to Taita and Brian about their own project, Judith, first of all, before we get into the nitty-gritties of what it is that you do, this question everyone wants to know, and that's how it was to be seated next to two presidents.
Of course, I was very nervous.
You didn't look nervous. That's the other thing. You look like you were right at home with your people.
Yeah, so what I told myself was, like, I'm in my sitting room and, there's like no cameras and and that's the way I managed to go through that whole process.
You did a good job of it.
Thank you.
Now, obviously, you've talked about the inspiration behind Akira Chicks, but maybe we can delve into that step that was taken to sort of found the organization and how you managed to grow it. What was that like the first time when you decided we're going to do this? How did you do it?
It was very exciting. What happened is we just called a meeting. There was a meeting that was called one Saturday. And during that meeting, we thought we were going to start an organization for women in technology. And we decided by the end of that meeting, we should come out with a name. So we had a brainstorming session. We went through a list of, like, I don't know how many names, and Akira Chicks was the name we settled on. And that was the beginning of Akira Chicks.
What does Akira Chicks mean?
So Akira is a Japanese word. It means energy and intelligence, and Chicks is chicks.
Okay.
Now, the reason we settled on that name was one of our founders was doing Japanese, and when she said Akira, like, it was a very long session. So when she said Akira, everybody was like, yeah.
That's
and
it.
pretty much that was how we chose the name. And then after that, we're like, we'll set up our social media presence, set up our emails. We organize our meetup to be in the next 2 weeks. I guess the point is to just begin.
Okay.
Don't overthink it.
And be consistent. Now, did you have funding? Did you pull together your resources? What did you do about that?
Yeah, we didn't have funding. So we pulled our own resources. We just had contributions. I remember at the beginning we used to be like, every month people would contribute 500 shillings and that would go to fund our different activities. And we did that for a period of like 2 years, as in just funding our own activities. And as we started having bigger goals and we realized we couldn't raise as much money, that's when we started thinking we should start doing fundraising. We should start doing proposal writing. we should form an organization. Yeah, it came much later.
Okay.
We should actually get registered and, you know. So it was actually an organic process for us.
All right. We'll come back to you and just ask you more about its growth to, you know, to the point where you were able to share your words of wisdom on such an amazing platform. And now also looking at Taita and Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, but your story is it because you were broke on campus? Is it because you were constantly trying to get pocket money? Is that accurate?
Yes.
It is accurate.
It is accurate.
And you were tired of asking your parents for money all the time?
I mean, yes.
Okay.
It would be too soon. We got into campus in, around first year. And when you join campus, usually there's this good luck finance that you're given, and congratulations. But a few months into campus, we ran short of cash, and it would be really irresponsible to call back home. And so me and Brian and a couple of friends sat down and started thinking, how exactly can we generate income? How can we be able to sustain our school and, of course, the expenses that we had in school? And so being raised in agricultural homes, it was kind of the first thing that we did, that we chose agriculture.
Yeah.
And then that's where the story begins.
And initially it was a little difficult, I think, because was it because you were growing produce and losing out on it, or what were some of the challenges before you came up with this idea?
Initially it was a hard rock for us.
Yeah.
Because we started out with open field farming down in Loito, whereby we experienced losses, massive losses due to spontaneous flooding. This resulted us into getting solutions to our problems. We decided, why not do greenhouses? Then we switched to greenhouses, looked for local technicians, built affordable greenhouse, and because after going around the market, we realized that greenhouse farming was a really expensive venture for farmers.
Yeah.
So that was the first step. Second step, we start greenhouse farming. It's still expensive. The produce, you don't get the produce because the inputs that you want to buy, you do not know what to buy, when to buy, and where to use it. So we realized there was a big gap, and there was a big information gap, to be specific.
Okay.
And we capitalized on that.
All right.
And we built our model on that.
And then Illuminum Greenhouse was built. So what exactly is it that you do, if you can just break that down for us?
So Illuminum Greenhouse is an agri-tech startup in Kenya that constructs affordable greenhouses and installs outdoor drip irrigation kits.
That's a little bit of your footage there running.
Yeah, with sensors. And the sensors are solar powered so that they can work anywhere in the country. Now, what the sensors simply do is that they help control the greenhouses by monitoring temperature and humidity. And then the most important thing about it is that it allows the farmer to control irrigation from their mobile phone. So the result of that is now any farmer in rural Kenya can focus on other income generating activities and not have to be in their farm every morning and evening for just irrigation.
All right.
Yeah.
I think later on in this interview, I'd really want to get into how people can access some of the products, especially farmers who would want to. You won an award. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the award that you won at GES?
Yes, I think
I think Brian
we were second place at the GIST competition just the other day. My partner Taita was the guy who was presenting, and he did us proud. He brought the award back home.
Yeah,
it was a global competition. It was the GIST program is a program by the Department of State in the US to bring in innovators and entrepreneurs from all over the world to compete on a single platform and display the world's leading innovations. So we came second as Kenya, representing Kenya. Number one was Mexico, and number 3 was Nigeria.
All right, all right, fantastic. Edwin, now you come in because you weren't just one of the moderators. I think I'd like you to tell us a little bit more about your role in this summit, and just looking from the outside in as someone who's maybe been in the industry for some time, and your observations about how young people really took this in.
Well, it was a fascinating experience, I would say. So I work with a firm called Dahlberg, with a strategy consulting firm that's focused on emerging markets and the development question. And so when we knew the GS was coming to town, we essentially offered surge capacity to the Office of the President in Kenya and said, how can we help make sure this is a fantastic success for Kenya, because the potential was there. This was the biggest microphone that Kenya would get to talk about Kenya and entrepreneurship in a long time. So how do we make sure that we maximize on that? So there are three, we did many things, but there are 3 core things that we set out to do. The first one was in actually making sure the structure of the event itself maximizes the kind of interactions that you want between entrepreneurs and investors. So making sure folks can actually engage, folks can have the conversations they need to have, and also the conversations are relevant to Kenya and to sub-Saharan Africa.
Yeah.
So if you take questions like power or of access to finance, it's not just at the hundreds of millions of dollars of investment. We need to have discussions on where people can get equity investments in the 25,000, 100,000 kind of range. So how do you make sure that you're getting those to happen, and how do you make sure you're getting the right people to be in the room to have those discussions? So that was the first big part of it. The second one was then looking at, it was really personal for me that I wanted the conversation coming out of the GES not to be that the external people came in and the Americans came in with lots of money and they gave it to the Africans or the Kenyans and then they left, right? I really wanted to change the narrative to be, we are already investing in ourselves. We already have entrepreneurs amidst us. We have financial institutions that are investing in ourselves. Our government's doing a lot on the policy direction. So how do we make sure that we have commitments that get acknowledged as these, that are even of greater significance than what came on the other side. So we saw Chase Bank with their big commitment to doing $600 million to SMEs, Equity Bank, which never got announced, but they committed to doing $4 billion.
$4 billion?
$4 billion over the next 5 years to SMEs in Kenya only.
Okay.
Right?
So now we're seeing more of the local investment come into play.
Exactly.
All right. Maybe before we continue, I'd like to ask the three of you, are you happy about how the Global Entrepreneurship Summit played out, or is there a part of you that feels like people missed the point or people missed out on opportunities? What's your honest take home, if I can put it that way, from GES? Judith, maybe starting with you.
For me, my take home was that there's a lot of information out there, and one of the things that prevents entrepreneurs from progressing is lack of information.
Yeah.
And one of the greatest challenges I gave myself was to seek this information, because I kind of feel like sometimes people want the information to come to them, or something like that, to be placed right in front of them. But I think it's up to us as entrepreneurs to also search for this information. Okay. Actually, that was my greatest take home. Like all this, because I talked a lot to people. One of the greatest things was the networking that was involved. And I talk to this person and they'll tell me like there's this learning opportunity. And I talk to this other person, they tell me there's this other learning opportunity. And I started thinking to myself, okay, so where have I been all this time?
Yeah.
And then I go online and I find the information.
Yeah.
So the challenge was to look for this
information. And before I hear from Brian and Taito, or maybe I can bring this in, exactly what you've said is a lot of the SMSs that are coming in, people are so frustrated. They're like, I didn't even know about this. I'm all the way in, in the hinterlands of Taita Taveta or Kirinyaga. How am I supposed to access a platform like GES? What do you have to say to that?
I'd say we're in a new age where the information democracy is real, right? So access to what's going on in the world at any point in time is something that people can have access to through their mobile phones or going online and so on and so forth. So if you truly want to solve a problem in your own community, which is what entrepreneurship it's all about, right? It's you're a restless spirit because you've seen a challenge or an issue which then becomes a business opportunity, like these two guys. The information of how other people have solved that is actually out there. And the biggest urge is go out and don't think of this as something you have to solve only by yourself and nobody's ever done this before. Actually go and seek perspectives from across the world and then domesticate them to your local situation.
Okay, we have to take a quick break, but again, with the two of you and maybe with Judith, was that, I know she's talked about the fact that you aggressively sought out information. Was it the same with the two of you? Were you just constantly thinking and searching, on the internet about how best to jumpstart your organization?
I think we echo her words.
Okay.
Exactly. The main thing is just keep on researching. There's always a new thing that you will learn. Get online, get the free, look for important material. There's a lot of negative content out there, but just sieve through what you're looking for, and you will get what you need. And with the time and the passion for what you love, you will definitely get the information.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing, but also what we did is also look at what other people are doing, because one of the things entrepreneurs think is that they have the newest idea in the world. And if you do not take the step to say, okay, I have this idea, let me see what's out there, then that is what we did. And I think if the Kenyan youth can do that, they can be able to solve more problems.
Okay, fine. Yeah. We do have to take a short break. I'd love to come back and just hear quickly about some of the frustrations you faced to get to where you are. And from you, Edwin, just kind of, you've all talked about access and that it's all about being aggressive about getting information. But the next step, if there's someone who has a brilliant idea, then what? So we'll come back to that. Remember to use the hashtag MondaySpecialKE on Twitter or text us on 22422. Leave your name and location, and we'll be right back after this break.